So we just finished this first set of commands, and now there's a few more help commands, basically, that are useful. So there's been some questions about different commands, and you probably want to know where you can learn more. So one thing is you can search Google. You can type Unix cp command help or something like that, and you'll get plenty of help online. But right in your terminal, there's a bunch of options as well for help. So there's one called a manual page or man page. You can type man cp, and this will bring up a bunch of detailed information about the command. And this is using that less command that we had before, and that we'll cover in a minute. So if you're in here, you can type Q to get out. I typed man cp, and it gives you all these different options. So for example, we have this -R option, which there's, I think, a subtle difference between capital R and lowercase r. But there's a bunch of information here. There's also and there's man pages for most commands. Yeah, it's like asking what the command does. And then there's also help cp, which is a help command. We don't have this for every command, but we can type help pwd. And as opposed to a man page, which gives you this really detailed, full description of the command, help is a more like basic thing. So it says pwd prints the current working directory. If we want no symbolic links, we can do -P, and -L will follow symbolic links. So we'll talk about what symbolic links are in a minute. Another useful command is which. And what which does is it shows the location of that command itself, where it exists on your computer. So if we type which pwd, it is found in /bin/pwd. So these are path names. We've kind of touched on this, but the initial / is the root of your computer, and then bin is a folder within the root, and pwd is a file corresponding to the command pwd that's in bin. So if we typed ls/bin, we can see that there's some basic files that are found there. These are really fundamental. So cp is here, move, ls. Some of the commands that we've covered, but which is not there. So we could type which says that it is found in /user/bin. So we can type ls user/bin, and you can see there's a lot more commands that are available in that folder. We don't want to move or touch, do anything with these commands. They're normally hidden from view for a good reason, but sometimes you need to know where your commands are located. If you type history, it will spit out a bunch of commands. In fact, for me, it just totally, I've got 20,000 commands that are just printed out here. So you guys probably don't have as many because you haven't been using the terminal as long. But so we have, there's a way to get less commands. In fact, I told you a minute ago about head. There's another command called tail, which will give you the last few lines of a file. Actually, the last 10, unless you specify. So I could type history, and then this pipe, which we'll see in a minute, and I can do tail, and now it will just show me the last 10 commands that I've typed. On the Mac, you can also type the up arrow, and it will go up through your history to show you the previous commands that you've typed. This is really useful if you have a long command that you want to change something and then run it again, or it didn't work and you want to run it again and you don't want to have to type it out again. You can use the arrow to go back up through the commands. Finally, there's a command called top, which shows you the processes running on your computer at a given time. So we can type top and enter, and we'll see we've got all these different programs running, and how much memory, how much CPU is being used, how much memory is being used, all kinds of detail about what's going on our computer at a given time. Any questions about those commands? Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that sometimes you're using the forward slash and other times not. I was wondering if there's any significance to that. Like when you say like ls, like literally typing in.
Yes, exactly. So there are a number of ways to, let me see if I have, so I have a section down here. The hard part about teaching this is that it's all, you kind of need all the pieces, so it's hard to not introduce things too soon for you, but you'll get there. So this section here on absolute and relative paths and symbolic links. So there's notation for directories, and there's also there's just different ways to notate things. So a dot corresponds to the current directory. 2 dots corresponds to one directory up. If you wanted to go 2 directories up, you could do dot dot slash dot dot, which would take you up again another directory. There's the slash is the root directory. So when I'm typing, so let's go to CD. I'm going to go back to my lessons folder. If I type ls dot, that's listing the contents of the current directory. Or I could type ls dot dot slash lessons, which is kind of a strange way of saying I want to go up one and then back to where I actually am right now. It would give us the same output. So these are all pathing, but if I type ls and then a slash, the reason that that's a very particular place, so that's actually listing the contents. If I could just type that, this is listing the contents of the root. This is the very top point on my hard drive. There's nothing in my computer that's not in what you're seeing right there. Everything is either an application or library or these other things. Are, users is a big one because that's where my user folder is. And then all these other things. I can type ls-l and it will give me all the contents. This is the detailed information about everything on my computer. And so, yeah, when you type that slash, it means a very particular thing. It means the root of your computer. There's another one. I can type cd. If I just type cd, it will take me to my home directory. But I can also type cd tilde, and it'll take me to the home directory as well. The nice thing about that is if I want to list a path out of my home directory, starting from where the home directory is, I can say I want to know what's in my, like, let's say I'm in the root. Actually, don't do that. I don't want you to make a mistake in your root directory. But let's say I'm in my home directory and I want to know the contents of a particular folder. Instead of typing SIO209 lessons, I could type ls. Now this gets at this idea of absolute versus relative paths. That's good to know. So typically, everything we've been doing to this point has been using relative paths. So we're saying we're in a given folder and we're going to create a file or delete a file. It's all relative to where we are right now. But you can also specify an absolute path, which is from the root on down, or from your home directory on down. So if I wanted so technically when I type make directory, if I go back to my lessons folder, if I type make directory, let's see where I am. If I type make directory temp, what this is actually doing is make directory users Luke SIO209 lessons temp. That's what actually is happening on the computer. But it knows, the computer knows what my working directory is, and it just adds that part to it. Similarly, I could type make directory my home / SIO209 / lesson / temp. That would also do the same thing. This is typically, you don't need to specify the full path. Relative paths are useful for most purposes, but there are cases where you want to be more explicit. So for example, if you're making notes about your work, when you're doing some bioinformatics project, say, or some computational thing, and you want to note all the commands that you ran, it might be useful to have the full path name, because then there won't be any ambiguity about where you did what and how. Another thing is if you're working on a big cluster like Amazon EC2, or if your lab has a cluster that you run jobs on, oftentimes when that job is submitted, it doesn't know what directory you wanted to run the command in, for example. You might actually want to specify the full path name. Sometimes you even need to specify the full path of the executable itself. Not things like CD or PWD, but maybe you're running blast, or you're running some other command that lives in a certain place on the cluster, and that might be in a different place than on your laptop. And so you want to specify exactly where that command is, where your input files are, where your output files are, using the full path name.
If you were to theoretically write your own command line function, you could use that way too, right? If you create a function that lives somewhere in your computer, you can...
Yes. So there are commands that live in, you typically don't want to add or remove any commands from like /bin or / like I typed ls/bin. Like this is like, don't mess with this. This is just from your computer. But if you go to your home folder, I have a folder called bin where I put some bioinformatics software that I use. So this then I can add to my path, which we'll describe what that is in a bit. And so my computer then knows where things are and can access them. So yeah, you can make your own folder of your own executables, and as long as you can either specify the absolute path, which is the safest, but there's also there's something called a path variable, which is all the different directories that your computer looks. When you type a command, it's all the different places it looks. And I'll come to that in a minute. Okay, I think what we have time for today before we end is covering text editors and setting up your Bash environment. So doing the homework, you should have downloaded either Atom or Sublime Text, or I guess Atom is what he asked you to use, so I'm assuming you guys have that. I use one called Sublime Text, but they're pretty much the same in terms of what we'll do with this class. There's another program you'll see called that I use called Markdown, and you don't need it today. But if I go back to our lessons folder and open, open is a command on Mac that will open a file using whichever application. It's just like clicking on the file in the Finder. So if I go, in fact, I can just show you there. So you can see in our Finder we still have this bar file that we created. But if I open the lesson2.md, it's the same as doing it here in the terminal. This program is called Markdown. It basically just renders Markdown files for you, which I find convenient to be able to see what it's going to look like. And I use this a lot for note taking and for recording what I'm doing for my research. So that's Markdown. But all we need is a text editor. And in doing the assignment, you should have already downloaded and worked with one. Now, there's a couple other text editors that are meant to work in the command line. We used cat to do some really basic things to create files and edit or append, but you can't actually edit a file in a nice way. So if we go back to our terminal, so the first one is called nano. So if we type nano bar, it's going to open up this program called GNU Nano, and this is just a very basic text editor, and it has the commands at the bottom. This is useful if again, if you're on a cluster environment where you want to edit a file, but you don't have Atom or Sublime Text on that cluster. You only have the programs that are on there. So this is a really simple text editor that allows you to edit some files. So you can say I can add this line here, and now if I want to save, I can type Control-O, or I can just type Control-X, and it will say, you just said you wanted to quit. Do you want to save that buffer or save that file? And I'll type Y. And so then it says what do you want to call it? File name to write. It's going to give me the name of the file, so I just hit enter. And now, if I look at the file, you can see I just edited it using Nano.
So doing that let you, you could add in lines not just at the bottom?
Correct. Yeah, you can do anything.
That's better than append if you want to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Append is like, append is not, the cat and append. Those aren't something you do if you really want to write a file. You're not going to write a letter or a chapter in your thesis using cat and append, and those are more to illustrate how they work, and you use those in a shell script or something to add content to a file, in an automated way typically. Yeah, if you want to do actual text editing, you can use a command line editor like Nano, or typically people that do a lot of computing use either Vim or Emacs. Those are the two big ones that are harder to learn, but really powerful. And people have gone to war over which of these they like better. I don't. Yeah, there you go. I prefer Emacs, but yeah, there you go. So it's it's a thing. But for this class, you don't need to know either one. There's advantage. So I do use Emacs a lot, but it's slower, and so if you're in like Antarctica and you need to like run a job on your computer in California, um, you might be faster to open Nano to edit a file than to open Emacs, for example. Okay, but you have all the text editors you need. So you have your GUI one, which you'll use for almost everything in this class. But if you do need to edit something on a command line situation, you can use Nano, or if you know Emacs or Vim, I'm sure you'll use those. Okay, so the last thing for today is setting up your Bash environment. So you've all been envious of my awesome Bash prompt here. It has my username and my computer name, and then it says where I am, and it's in bold and yellow, so it sticks out, and it's very convenient. So I'll show you how to do that. So what we have is, if we go back to our home folder, so we can type cd tilde or just cd is easiest, and we type ls-a. You're gonna see I have a lot of stuff in my home folder. But the one that I want to, the thing that I want to direct you to are these files like .bash profile, and there's a few others. Sometimes you have one called .profile. On a Unix system, you might have .bash rc, but Mac and I think Unix also are kind of moving towards using .bash _ profile as the main file that you use to format your Bash experience. So what you can do is you can take. So let's see. Do you guys have? Raise your hand if you have the .bash _ profile in your home folder by default. Okay. Can you type cat.bash profile? And you can see mine's got a bunch of stuff in it. For those of you that haven't set up, is there anything in there? Like how many lines, for example? So you have a few things there. Okay. So what we'll do is we're not going to totally remake it. We're going to keep what's there, and we're going to add to it. So we can. So let's see here. I'm going to make a file called .bash profile 2 because I don't want to mess with the one that I've already got. But so you can. Could just be. I think we can just type nano.bash profile. I'm going to type .bash profile 2 because I don't want to mess with my file. But you guys should just type .bash profile nano. And you're gonna see whatever's already there here. But what we can do is we can add content from here. So first I'll tell you what these things are doing. So we can customize the prompt. This is some syntax that describes using like bold colors here, and then the user, the home computer, and the working directory. This customizes the terminal window so it shows up here the user, the program, which is nano, and then the file that I'm working on at this particular moment. We're going to add Autocomplete to the history. This is super awesome. So normally history, if you type the up arrow, it'll show you the previous commands. But what this does is if you type the first few letters of a command and then hit the up arrow, it will only show you the commands that begin with those letters. So you're like, I know I did a copy command like 3 days ago. I'm going to type CP and then the arrow, and it'll only show you copy commands. So it's rapidly going to remove 99% of your history and only show you the commands that you are more that are similar to what you did. Super useful. We're going to add some grep coloring. We'll see what that does next time. And then there's some aliases, which are optional but useful. So this, what this one does is instead of typing cd space dot dot, I can just type cd dot dot, and it will show me. It will take me up one. It's just a, and then there's options for 3 dots and 4 dots, which is just taking you up levels. It's just a way to navigate. There's a command called du, which gives you disk usage, and I've changed it so that it gives me sort of human readable format. I made an alias called Excel, so when I type that, I can type Excel space the name of the file, and it will automatically use this application in my folder. Now, you need to make sure that you actually have this application in this location on your computer, otherwise it won't work. So for example, if you're using Office 2015 instead of 2011, you would need to change that. And same goes for anything. You could make one for Word or for Atom. You could say alias Atom equals open dash A. So this is open. The dash A says I'm going to open with this application, and then this is the path name of the application.
Does it protect you from overwriting a command that you might not have heard of by creating these images?
I don't think it will protect you because, for example, I've overwritten command right here. I'm saying du equals du dash sh. And I also have this one here, which is important. I'm saying rm is actually rm-i. Remember, that's the one that iteratively asks you if you really want to remove a file.
So once you do that, it's going to be for time immemorial. You're going to be doing rm.i dot, so you can be like put that side.
Correct. So what I do if I really, because if you type rm and let's say you want to delete every file in that particular folder that begins with A. If you type rm space A and then an asterisk, which is the wildcard, and we'll talk about that, that's what that would do. That would delete every file that begins with an A. But if there's 50 files that begin with A, it's going to ask you for each one, do you want to delete this one? Do you want to delete this one? Do you want to delete this one? And it's going to get really old, typing yes, 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 yes. So what you can do in those cases is you can actually specify the direct path, the absolute path of the file. So in this case, it would be /bin/rm because that's where bin actually lives. So yes, you're not required to use any of these aliases or any of these settings for that matter. These are just what I use, and I find them useful. So I have some ls like options too. I have instead of typing ls-a, I just type la. The p is, I'm forgetting what the p does at this particular moment, but it's these are just shortcuts for my list commands. There's a command that will convert Mac style carriage returns to Unix style carriage returns, which can be really useful. And then I have one called tail with an extra L, which gives me, it lists the directory contents and then gives me long format and sorted by time and reversed. So, and then I get the last 10. So basically, this command will give me the last 10 files that were modified in a given folder, which is often useful to say, because I don't want to see everything. I just show me like what's been changed recently, so I can get a quick like view of what's in that file. So that's what that command will do. Okay. Yeah.
So when I do like if I just do nano /dash profile, I have some stuff in there. So is this within the dash profile too, specifically?
So no, remember I just created this file because I already have all this in my .bash profile, so this is just an example. Yours should have some stuff in there, and just leave it there, and we'll just paste this below
Oh, okay.
what you already have.
So,
Wait, just checking to make sure I understood that. We would copy everything from from this guy, right? And then just copy it into that nano editor and save it.
Or just the nano or straight into the console?
I thought
No,
it
the
was
nano.
into the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, the P flag, I just did man ls, so the P flag adds a slash after each file name if that's a directory. So that's why, although it doesn't seem to be, okay. Yeah, so you can see if I just type ls in my home directory, I get just the directories are just, they're colored green because of the way I have it set up, but if I use this alias shortcut, I get the slash after there. Okay, so finally, we're going to add this to our profile. So you can go to either the GitHub or to the downloaded version. You just copy this. So I selected the text. I'm going to just type Command C, and then click on the nano window and type Command V. And now, if you already have some stuff in your .bash _ profile, scroll down to the bottom of the file before you do this, and so you'll just add it to the end of the file, or to the beginning if you prefer. Doesn't matter. Just I don't want you to delete stuff that's already in your settings. If you make a mistake and you don't want to save that, hit Control X, and then when it asks you if you want to save, you type no.
Luke, is there a way to save without exiting?
Yes. It's Control O.
Oh, right now. Gotcha.
And do you have to do the touch bash profile command first?
No,
No.
no, because that was just what I was doing to make a file.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Got
For you, you just need to open it, and you can open it in Atom as well, any text editor, but we're just using Nano. So once you've got it saved, you can exit, and then we're going to activate that file or source it. So again, we're in our home folder, and you're going to type source.bash profile and hit enter. Now, does this change the prompt for you guys when you do that? Was that able to work? So you're seeing a yellow prompt now? Okay. And if you type like tail, you'll see the last 10, tail with 2 L's. That's the alias I came up with for this particular thing. You'll see the last 10. You'll see the last 10 things that you've worked on in that folder. So if you want to double check what's in that file, you can type less.-profile, and you'll see everything in there. I've got a bunch of stuff in mind, but among those things, I do have some aliases and some things. So we'll see how this works as we go forward. Now, one other thing you can check is if you type Command N to open up a new terminal, make sure that it gives you you should see the yellow coloring and the prompt like this. Does that work? Okay. So that means that your terminal knew to look for that file. You can change that in settings, but by default, every time you open up a new terminal window, it will look for that file .bash _ profile in your home folder, and it will run it. And so all the settings that you have in there will automatically be executed every time you open a new terminal. So there's a lot of things you can put in that file that will customize your command line experience. Yeah.
That's probably a simple question, but how did you make it have a black background?
Yeah, so you just go to Preferences, or you can type Command, comma, and you see there's all these profiles here. So you can have silver aerogel. You can type default, and then this is silver aerogel, whatever that is. I guess it's somewhat translucent. There's all these different settings that you can specify. But I have Pro for mine. But if you prefer green or whatever, there's a lot of options. So, and I think some of these are new with the later version of Mac OS, so you can have fun with that. The other thing is you can change the color of your prompt. So I'm going to get out of this one. Over here we have this \0331 colon or semicolon 33M. These are all codes for the colors, and the syntax is weird, but you only have to set it up once. So there's if we like Google this. Let's see if this is working. So yeah, if you instead of having bold yellow, you want white or bold green or pink. These are all options. You can customize the color. I sometimes have a different color if it's my computer versus if I'm working on a cluster, because you can have a bash profile for every computer you have an account on. So if you have an account on your lab's cluster, you can have a bash profile for that home directory as well, and you might want a green prompt instead of a yellow prompt, so that if you look at the window, you immediately know, oh, I'm not on my computer, I'm on the cluster. So like this is a cluster that I use sometimes, and it's a green prompt instead of a yellow prompt. So
once you've sourced it, you
Mhm.
have that thin profile.
Yeah.
There now, if you shut down and go back, you have to source it again. Or
No.
source before you
No, because the way it's set is that, in fact, it's not even here. It's more like you can say on startup, I want to run this command, and you could say, but by default, the way that the terminal works, the way the bash works, it automatically will source that file. So you don't have to. We only had to do that the first time because it's something that happens when you start a new session. So you'll never have to do that again. Once you get that file the way you want it, it'll just every time it'll open it. All right, so I think that's it for today, and we'll cover the rest on next time.